Hey everybody, it's Pastor Vern with the daily update for May 8th, 2020. It's a Friday, and we're one day closer to being together again. But I do want to, just if you missed it before, I just want to lift up to you. We were not going to meet in person in May between the different organizations that we are working with, the governor's, the office, the East Central Health District, the CDC, the conference recommendations, the Presbytery's recommendations, and with all the things that we would have to do to make this viable to be back in our places of worship. The boards have chosen to suspend in-person worship for the rest of the month. We're going to look at it again later in the month and see what it looks like for June. Unfortunately, that's a scenario we're in. Also, a second update today, or a second thing I wanted to lift up to you, as I lifted up yesterday, is that we're looking at possibly still doing a confirmation class. We're going to try to figure out how to do that. We'll be trying to get some information out to those that we have identified for sure. And the second part of that is if you have someone who's confirmation age, going to be in the 7th grade or older next year, who hasn't done confirmation, shoot me a message, give me a call or something so that I make sure I've got as complete a list as I can possibly have. So with that said, we're in part 2 of salvation, a crash course in salvation. Yesterday we talked about a little bit about salvation and the what and who of salvation, that the work of salvation is already done. Christ has done that work by coming to earth, living a human life, being crucified, resurrected, ascending to heaven. He has taken those things that would separate us from God and laid them on his shoulders and taken them with him to give us the opportunity to be rescued. And salvation in the first part means to be made whole or complete. And we talk about Jesus's rescue that makes us whole and complete in our relationship with God. So, we're saved by Jesus through God's faith that he puts into us, through the process of the Holy Spirit, and us receiving that gift. And so what are we rescued from? That's a legit question. We're rescued from sin, and what we talk about when we talk about sin in our context in the church, it's the things that breaks our relationship with God, and actually other relationships too. Because as we break our relationship with God, we break the bonds that we have with one another. So that's probably one of the things we think of first, is that we're being rescued from sin, from those things that separate us from God, that don't allow us to live abundantly the life that God has laid out for us, that he would want us to share. Second thing is death. Now, we realize that we are going to die a physical death. That's just the way it works. That's how our bodies do wear out after a period of time, or something else may happen, that our bodies are not viable anymore to live. But here's the thing: because we die, it doesn't mean we're kept apart from God. You see, we've rebelled against God. We've kind of had we have not been always the perfect children of God. And in this earth, we have a chance to go through the process of sanctification and to be rescued by God, so that we can rebuild that relationship with God. And Christ addressed that a lot in his preaching, is that we have rebelled, that we have done things against what would be God's will, but his sacrifice overcomes that, and that's part of making the work complete in the future of our personal salvation. From captivity, and in this case, when we talk about captivity, often it is those things that hinder us, that keep us from being the most abundant, life-filled people that we can be. We're saved from the wrath of Satan, that that he delivers. We hear that in the in a lot of our prayers, that God delivers from evil, who is it's Satan's work to put evil upon us in this world. And we're also saved from something that, and this is going to be a little gray, okay, because not all of us believe the same way, because I talked about this yesterday. But we're also saved from the wrath of the end times, the time to come. A lot of Christian theology would tell us that those who are faithful at the time that Jesus is and God is preparing the world for Jesus to come back and reign in this world, to become his kingdom fully developed and fully realized. That those who are believers at the time that begins, they will be taken care of and would not have to go through all the turmoil that is described in the book of Revelation. And he rescues us for a restored relationship, that reconciliation, and a life with Christ that does not end. See, that's the key thing. A life with Christ that does not end. That we can be in this relationship for eternity. And that when we return to be with the Father and to be with Christ, that is now going to be a permanent home. Because the home here on earth is a temporary home. We're only here for whatever period of time that God allows us. That we're rescued to a new wholeness, to be complete beings, to live as abundantly as we can, to be citizens of Christ's kingdom. We are rescued from the evils of this world to be. Even though we are going to be in the world, we're not going to be about the world. It's going to be more about our relationship with God than our relationship with the things of this world that would pull us away from our relationship with God. And we're rescued from to a new realm of possibilities beyond anything we can imagine now. And even within the earthly realm of this, we know a lot of folks who have had difficult lives, and then they've received Christ, and their world had become very different. Their possibilities became very much more positive. There's people I know in my life that had struggled for years with different things, and even through the times of struggle, they tried to build a relationship with Christ. But once they got to this point where they could be less self and more Christ-like, their life changed. So that's kind of our crash course in salvation. We talked about kind of the basics of it. This is can be the subject of. I really think if a person wanted to break it down as far as you could, a pastor could probably preach most of his career just in a very narrow gate of salvation, and it's to, from, for, whom, what aspects. But our faith is even bigger than that, even though this is where the direction that we want our faith to culminate in. And so we have other things that we need to be concerned about too. I'm going to leave you with this little poem about salvation, and I'm going to give you a little challenge. Okay. In the comments section in the Facebook part, if you know where this comes from, put that title in there. Are you ready? Now the labors of my hands could fulfill the law's demands. Could my zeal not no respite know? Could my tears forever flow? For all sin could not atone, though thou must save, and thou alone. See if you can figure out where that comes from. It's something that's a part of our faith community. We'll see you on Monday with the dailies, and look forward to this weekend's worship be loaded sometime on Saturday. Blessings. Take care of each other. Take care of one another the best you can, and be safe. Bye.